Hey guys, welcome to my beginner tutorial on how to shoot and edit a basic vlog. This tutorial is going to cover basic editing techniques, some shooting tips, and then how to upload to YouTube. It's worth noting that this is only going to cover introductory ideas in Adobe Premiere, so I'm going to leave some links below if you're interested in looking at some more advanced editing concepts. All right, let's get started. All right, so the first thing you're gonna need to do in terms of shooting a blog is actually have a script. This will also allow you to block or chunk your content into smaller pieces, and then you can use jump cuts to make it seem really dynamic and exciting. The best part about that is that you get to keep your best takes. Vary the pace of your cuts to keep things interesting though. Don't have too many that are too short or too many that are too long. All right, so in terms of shooting tips, start by trying to frame dynamically, including the background. Don't have anything that's too busy, but at the same time, you want something going on and at least some idea of depth. Make sure focus and exposure are set properly. There are a few things that make video less watchable than bad focus. Ditto is something that's underexposed. Stabilize if you can. Even if you're shooting on an iPhone, maybe try propping it up against something and using the selfie cam so you can monitor what you're doing. Try and find a quiet environment. Your video is really going to suffer if the audio isn't good. It's said that people will watch poor video, but never if there's bad audio. And that makes sense. If you can't actually understand what the people are saying, well then you're not getting your content across. Also, I just turned on my TV and this is Wave by California, so that's pretty awesome. So those are some very basic pointers with regard to how to actually shoot a good video. Now let's jump into the computer and see some of the options that we have editing and post. Okay guys, so now that we're into the computer, the first thing we're going to need to do is dump our footage. That means we need to take it from the camera and put it onto a hard drive so that we can edit it. We can't edit right off the camera. So either using a cable with the camera or an SD card reader, let's get our footage onto what we call a D drive. So if you're on your PC at school, in your My Computer folder, there's a D drive. That's a hard disk with lots of space on that computer. It's specific to that computer, but because it's big, it's gonna work for us. Don't put this stuff onto your personal drives. It'll fill up in an instant. So in the D drive, there's a video folder. That's where we want to go. Now I've already gone ahead and made myself a folder here. You want to make yourself a folder too, just in case other people are working on the same computer. And go ahead and make a little folder as well for the particular project you're working on, just to keep yourself organized in case you want to do more than one video. Take the files. I'm imagining here that I'm taking them off the camera, and copy and paste them into that folder. And now we're ready to work. Okay, so once we have our files on our hard drive, what we want to do is launch Adobe Premiere Pro. That's the editor we're going to use. It's industry standard. It's an amazing program. So go ahead and launch that. And while we're waiting, I'm going to remind you that I'm only going to show you the most basic of techniques in here. So again, if you would like to know more, please follow the links in the description. And alternatively, you can go ahead and just find on YouTube tons of really awesome tutorials. Okay, so we launched it. I can see up here, Adobe Premiere Pro, and we're going to go File, New, Project. Lots of confusing stuff comes up. Don't be scared. Only two things you need to do here. Number one, give it a name. I'm going to call it Vlog Tutorial. Number two, I need to tell it where I'm going to put it, the location. So name and location are important. Everything else we're going to ignore. So I'm going to go in, hit browse, and I'm going to go and put it in that same folder on my video drive. Same one as all my project files, just to keep things organized. So that's all set up, and I'm going to hit OK. And it launches the editor. All right, so there's lots going on here. Let's take it step by step. First thing we need to do is actually import our files. And so to do that, you go File, Import. All right, and I'm just going to bring in both video clips. I have the vlog tutorial I have, and then just a random clip as well, just to show you kind of how this works. So I'll hit Import, and they appear down here in our media browser. Whatever your main clip is, say your vlog itself or whatever, click, drag, and bring that in to our sequence, our timeline editor, to make a sequence. So drop it, and there we go. And if I play it back, now I actually have a movie, but obviously we want to start manipulating it a little bit, right? I want to start changing things around. So you can click and drag, and here are a few ways that you'll be interested in knowing about manipulating clips. Number one, on the ends of clips, you can click and drag them to make them shorter. And that just cuts off the front. Going to cover basic or the back. Here's what is going to be a really important tool for you though. This little razor blade. back in the day of film, they actually cut film. We're going to use this razor blade tool by selecting it, and you'll see what it does here. You click, and it actually makes little cuts in your timeline. And now what I can do is say, delete that. Highlight, delete, and now I have my very first cut. That's the bread and butter of video editing. It's worth noting that this is only going to cover... Let's get started. So obviously that's not a great cut, and you saw I made a mistake there, but hey, that's what we can do in post. We can cover those kinds of mistakes. All right, so the way the timeline also works is it's like looking from the top down, and you're gonna see whatever's on top. So imagine that I wanna take in this clip here, and I wanted to cover that edit. Now it looks really small, I'm gonna zoom in. But now, watch what happens as I scroll over, or I scrub over this piece here. Noting that this is only going to cover... Let's get started. So whatever you're looking down on from the top is what appears in your timeline, or sorry, in your player window. So that's how you kind of make a movie. All right, there are a number of other things you can do in here, including managing your audio, etc. So your audio clip mixer to get levels, things like that. Again, I'm going to direct you towards some of my other tutorials. One piece you might want to look into are in your effects. We have audio effects and transitions, so maybe you have some harsh audio cuts you want to get between. Maybe some transitions in video, like you want to cross dissolve between something, for instance. Tons of different options we can look at. So I'm going to encourage you to play around with those. Some video effects you might find useful. Maybe you want to go into the color correction section and actually look at, say, three-way color corrector, or there are some auto color correctors as well. You can also search for any effect. So say I knew I wanted to go into color, but I didn't know quite where it was. If you type in color, you have all these different effects are going to pop up. And so to apply an effect, all you do is click and hold, drag and drop. And you see it's done some color correction for me automatically. I'm just going to undo that. I actually don't care for what it did there. So you're going to use the effects to do transitions and then maybe do a little bit of adjustment on your piece. Maybe once you're done though, and so we've decided we've finished, here's how we're going to actually get this from the computer onto YouTube. All right, so I and O are keyboard shortcuts for in and out. So your movie would say the in at the beginning. I just hit I, and I'll go all the way to the end. This is way too long. I haven't cut this up at all. But I'll hit O for out. Now I've told the computer what my movie is for a beginning and for an end. And so once I've done that, I can go File, Export, Media. And this is also a very confusing window. So use this kind of like, we'll say like a recipe card. So first, you're going to change your source range, to make sure it's sequence in out. Not the entire timeline or the entire sequence, but just the in and out points we just put in. Okay. For format, I do want you to pick H.264. Okay, that's the codec we're going to use. Just remember that. All right. For the preset, what's really cool here is if you go all the way down, I'm actually just going to hit Y. Oh, no, it scrolled fast enough. Look at that. We have YouTube 1080p. Perfect. It knows that I want a 1080p video that is ready for YouTube, one that's going to have the least amount of compression on it once it goes through YouTube's compressors. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. Don't worry too much about the rest of this. You do want to give it a name though, so you know where to find it after. So if you just click on that, you can choose A, where you're going to save it. Guess where we're going to put it. You got it. We are going to put it into that D drive. So if I go to my computer, D, video, all the way through, and give it a name you'll remember. So I'm going to call this Mr. Hansen Vlog Computer Portion. That's a bad file name for a number of reasons, but it'll work for now. We'll hit save, and then we'll hit export. Everything else should be good. And it's going to take a variable amount of time depending on the length of your video and the quality of the codec, etc. But in the meantime, what I'll show you is that if we go to Firefox and I head on over to YouTube, it's really simple. You just sign into your channel. We're going to hit this upload video here, or pardon me, button here. And once our video is actually done, all we do is find it. So let's say it was this piece here. I'm going to hit open, and it's already uploading. So I can give it a name, give it a description, choose if everyone can see it, if just people with a link can see it, or whether it's completely private and you have to be logged in to see it. You can play around with tags to help it be more visible. You can add it to playlists if you have a number of blogs, etc. And once it's all done uploading, you can go ahead and click publish and it'll be ready. So that's it. That's kind of the beginning to end. Again, I know that was so fast, but check out my other tutorials, and there are tons of awesome tutorials for Adobe Premiere on the internet. So check those out, and hopefully this is enough to get you started. Happy vlogging. Happy vlogging.